Focus question, what types of angle pairs can I use to solve problems? What types of angle pairs can I use to solve problems? A couple of definitions first today. Adjacent angles. Adjacent, symbol for angles. They're next to each other. They share a vertex and a side. They're not congruent. They're next to each other. Here, I'll show you a picture. Alright. Angle 1 and angle 2 are adjacent. They're right next to each other. They're not necessarily congruent. They share a vertex. And they share a side, don't they? Alright, another pair that are adjacent. They're next to each other. They share a vertex and they share a side. Clear? Linear pair. A linear pair of angles. They are adjacent. They form a line. And they sum 180. A linear pair. They're adjacent, they form a line, and they sum 180. Would look like this. Angles 1 and 2, they're a linear pair. They're next to each other. They share a vertex and a side, and they add up to 180 degrees. Angle 1 plus angle 2 equals 180. And let's just cover supplementary while we're here. Supplementary. Supplementary angles. Okay, they sum 180. So a linear pair is supplementary, correct? Questions? Vertical angles. Those are opposite angles formed by two lines. Opposite angles formed by two lines, and they are congruent. So take two lines, crisscross them. Angle 1 is vertical to angle 2. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. They're vertical angles. Angle 3 is congruent to angle 4. Another pair of vertical angles. Angle 3 congruent to angle 4. Complementary angles. They sum 90 degrees. Complementary angles sum 90 degrees. If you see a picture that looks like this, and it's got that symbol in the corner, it means this big angle that means that angle ABD is 90 degrees, doesn't it? And it means these two angles within that larger angle have to add up to 90 degrees, so they would be complementary. Turn to page 48, perpendicular lines. Last definition, perpendicular lines.
Did you say the lines would be complementary?
Say that again?
Did you say the lines would be complementary or congruent? Your last sentence.
This angle and this angle would be complementary. It would add up to 90 degrees. Perpendicular lines. They intersect and form a 90-degree angle. Alright, you could say that AB is perpendicular to, there's another symbol for it, perpendicular to CD. AB is perpendicular to CD. Alright, so today you're going to take some of those definitions and some algebra expressions, and you're going to write equations and solve for variables, okay? So, some of the problems you have today will look like this. And you may get 130 and a 4x minus 10. And you're asked to solve for x. So what kind of angles are you dealing with here? Those are vertical angles. And what do you know about vertical angles? They're congruent. So how would you set up an equation to solve for x? 4x minus 10 equals 130. Right? Everybody okay with that? Very good. Vertical angles are congruent. So take the angle measures, set them equal to each other. If you're given this picture, and you're told that this was 6x and this is 2x plus 10. Now what kind of angles are you dealing with? What are they called? A linear what? A linear pair. And what do you know about a linear pair?
They sum 180.
They sum 180. So you would set it up as 6x plus 2x plus 10 equals 180. And you would solve for x, right? Everybody all right with that? Now, what if there was like a y right here? And you had to solve for x and y. Alright, if you set up an equation y equals 2x plus 10, you're going to have an x in your answer, aren't you? Or you're going to have a y in your answer. You're going to find x first, right?
And then plug it back in.
Plug it in. And what do these two have to add up to? 180. Or you could plug it in for this x, and these two are equal to each other, right? There's one or two problems like that, okay? Where you got to solve for x, then you've got to plug in the value of x to find an angle measure to solve for the other variable. How about this? Oof. How about this? Says who? Are those lines perpendicular? Raise your hand if those lines are perpendicular. Oh boy. What says they're perpendicular? Do those form a 90-degree angle? Do they appear to form a 90-degree angle?
They appear that way, but they don't have
They appear that way, but there's nothing up there that says they intersect at 90, is there? This could be 89.9 degrees. These aren't perpendicular until you see this symbol, okay? So don't ever assume anything is perpendicular unless you're told it's perpendicular. Clear? So, if you get a 7x minus 25 here, x plus 12, 2y plus 20, 5y minus 15. To set up the x's and solve for the x's, what would your setup be? Are these two angles equal to each other? No, they're not, are they? What are they? What do these two angles form? They're a linear pair, aren't they? Don't they form a line? So don't they sum 180? So your 8x minus 13 would equal 180, wouldn't it? Okay. What about on the other side? Are those two angles equal to each other? No. But the 2y plus 20 plus the 5y minus 15 equals 180, doesn't it? All right? Yeah.
Even on these, will sometimes show that little line thing on each one?
These aren't, because what they want you to do is look at this picture and realize that the two expressions with the x in them are a linear pair. And use the definition of a linear pair to set up an equation to solve for x. What they're trying to fool you into doing is to saying that they're equal to each other. They look like they're equal to each other, but they're not. Okay? let's see. That just about covers everything. What if you were told this? Just listen. Don't write this down. Angle A and angle B are supplementary. Okay? Angle A and angle B are supplementary. Yeah.
Oh, I should say some morning.
I didn't finish my question. Angle B is 25 degrees more than angle A. Alright? What if you were asked to find the measure of both angles? If they're go ahead.
Since it's supplementary, it equals 180.
Very
So
good.
you would draw that out first.
Yeah, draw a picture, guys, and it makes it real easy. If you draw a picture, alright, and B is 25 more, so we'll make this angle A, we'll make this angle B. Okay? Well, what if you called, instead of calling them A and B, do this. Let's call this angle X, alright? And if that's angle X, and this one's 25 more, what's this one?
X plus 25.
X plus 25. And what do those two have to add up to? 180, because they're supplementary. So wouldn't 2x plus 25 equal 180? And you could solve for x, couldn't you? And that would be the smaller angle. And then you could add 25 to it, and it would be the larger angle. Okay? So there's a couple problems in there like that today. All right, here's your assignment. Page 51. Page 51. I want you to do this kind of in a weird order. I want you to do 19 through 28 first. 19 through 28 first, and then 8 through 16. Okay? Make sure you're checking the odds and Edline for homework.